Ever wish you could just, like, grab coffee with a billionaire and soak up all their wisdom?
Oh, absolutely. Who wouldn't?
Well, today we're getting pretty close. We're diving into the mind of Shark Tank's Mark Cuban.
Ah, Mark Cuban.
But get this, as seen through the eyes of fellow shark, Robert Herjavec.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it's not just us picking apart Cuban's strategies.
Right.
We're getting Herjavec's take on what he's actually learned from working alongside Cuban.
That's a really unique angle. I'm curious to see what he's picked up over the years.
Me too. And the cool thing is, these lessons aren't just for aspiring billionaires, you know?
Right.
They're packed with insights that can help anyone, really, level up in any field.
I like that. Level up.
So, are you ready to dive in?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Okay, so first up, this one kind of busts a myth about power dressing.
Okay, interesting.
You know how Cuban's famous for his, like, t-shirt and jeans look?
Yeah, very casual.
Well, it turns out there's more to it than just comfort.
Oh, I'm intrigued.
Right. Like, Herjavec himself, even he initially thought it was strange.
I could see.
He expected Cuban to, show up in a suit, that whole classic image of power.
The power suit.
Exactly. But Cuban's response when asked about it was just, because I can.
Aha, I love that.
Right? It's not about being sloppy. It's about reaching that level of success where you kind of like dictate the rules of the game.
You make the rules.
Yeah. He doesn't need to conform to those expectations to command respect.
It's like the respect is just there. It's a really fascinating dynamic, when you think about it. It's like he's already proven himself, so he doesn't need the suit to validate his position.
It's true. And it makes you realize, like, true power isn't about the clothes, right? It's about the influence you've built.
Exactly. It's about the substance, not the surface.
And that leads perfectly into the second lesson Herjavec learned. The importance of expecting to win.
Okay, I like that. Expecting to win.
Right. Cuban goes into every deal, every negotiation, with this, like, unwavering belief that he will come out on top.
That's a powerful mindset.
And it's not just arrogance.
No, definitely not.
It's about cultivating this mindset that actually fuels your actions. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like a self-fulfilling prophecy almost.
Yes. Think about the difference between just, like, hoping for something versus expecting it.
Ah, I see. Hope is passive.
Right.
Expectation is active.
Exactly. Expectation drives you to actually take those steps.
To make it happen.
Yes. It's like that saying, right? Whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right.
Oh, that's a good one.
It's so true. Your beliefs really do shape your reality.
Absolutely. And I think that's why Cuban sees business as this, like, 24/7 contact sport.
Always on.
Always competing, yeah. Didn't he use a 24-second shot clock tactic on Shark Tank?
He did, to force quick decisions.
Yes.
From the entrepreneur.
Which is brilliant, because it, 1, eliminates procrastination.
And 2, gets to the heart of the matter. Like, are you in or are you out?
No time for waffling.
No waffling.
Love it.
It's that urgency, that constant drive that really sets successful people apart.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Speaking of drive, this next lesson is about keeping your eyes on your own lane. Even when you're surrounded by, like, other high achievers.
That's tough.
It is. And Herjavec actually shared this story about how Cuban's ownership of, multiple private jets got him comparing his own success to Cuban's.
It's easy to fall into that trap, isn't it?
So easy.
Yeah.
Especially in, like, competitive environments.
Right. You're always comparing yourself to someone else.
And it's a recipe for, like, dissatisfaction because you're always chasing someone else's definition of success.
You're never content.
Exactly. And get this, Cuban's response to Herjavec's comment about getting a bigger jet was just, which one?
Classic Cuban.
Right. It was like this, like, wake-up call.
Yeah.
It forced Herjavec to realize that he was measuring his worth by those external factors.
Instead of what truly mattered.
Yes. Instead of focusing on what truly mattered to him.
It's such an important reminder for all of us.
It is.
Because we all get caught up in that comparison game sometimes.
All the time.
It's like, who are we trying to impress?
Exactly. It's a reminder to reconnect with your why.
Your why.
Like, why are you doing what you're doing? What actually brings you fulfillment?
That's a question we should all be asking ourselves more often.
And sometimes, that fulfillment might come from knowing when to let go.
Let go.
Yeah. Cuban gave Herjavec some really valuable advice about, like, when to sell a business.
Oh, that's interesting.
He laid out these 3 specific reasons.
Okay.
1, you no longer want to do it.
Okay.
2, you've reached, like, peak opportunity for that business.
Right.
And 3, the money will fundamentally change your life.
It's a very clear framework.
Isn't it?
Yeah, it cuts through the noise.
Instead of agonizing over the decision, you can assess it against those three things.
I like that. Very practical.
And Herjavec actually had a $100 million offer on the table for his company and was really struggling with the decision. And Cuban's advice helped him realize he wasn't ready yet.
He held on.
He did. He held on for several more years and ultimately sold a majority stake for a lot more.
Smart move.
Talk about a return on investment, right? But it wasn't just about the money.
No.
It was about making a strategic decision based on truly understanding his goals.
Which is something we can all learn from.
Right. Sometimes the best move is to stay the course and trust your gut.
Trust your gut, yeah.
This is all so insightful. I feel like we've already uncovered a treasure trove of wisdom.
It's amazing what you can learn from observing someone like Cuban, even from a distance.
But there's still more to come, right?
Oh, absolutely. We've only just scratched the surface of what Herjavec has learned from Cuban.
Okay, good. I was worried we were already done.
Don't worry, there's plenty more to unpack. In the next part of our deep dive, we'll explore how Cuban sees time as his most valuable asset and why he's not afraid to be wrong.
Okay, now I'm really hooked. I can't wait to hear more. Welcome back. We're continuing our deep dive into Mark Cuban's world.
Still learning from Robert Herjavec's experiences with him, right?
Yeah. It's like getting a backstage pass to two brilliant business minds at once.
Definitely. And last time, we were talking about how Cuban helped Herjavec decide about selling his business.
Right, remembering to focus on your own goals, not just comparing yourself to others.
Exactly. And this next lesson kind of builds on that. It's about time management.
Time management. Something we could all use more of, I think.
Right. And Cuban is famous for his crazy work ethic, but it's not just about, working all night,
So it's not about burning out.
No, it's more about maximizing every minute you have.
Okay, so quality over quantity.
Yeah, exactly. Herjavec mentioned that Cuban used to sleep only a few hours a night when he was starting out.
Wow, that's intense.
It is. But what's interesting is Cuban doesn't actually glorify that hustle at all costs mentality anymore.
So it's not about pushing yourself to the limit.
Not necessarily. He sees time as his most valuable asset, even more than money.
More than money. That's saying something.
Right. He said before, time is more important than money. You can always make more money, but you can't make more time.
That's so true. We all have the same 24 hours.
But what sets us apart is how we choose to spend those hours.
So for Cuban, it's about being super intentional with his time.
Intentional and strategic. He's known for being incredibly organized and focused on his priorities.
I'm picturing color-coded calendars and multiple to-do lists.
Probably. But it's not just about being busy, it's about being productive. He leverages tools and resources to save time.
Like his private jets?
Exactly. He sees them as a way to travel more efficiently so he can be more present wherever he needs to be.
So it's not just about luxury, it's a time-saving investment.
Right. It's about optimizing his time to maximize his impact.
Okay, that makes sense. Shifting from extravagance to strategic thinking.
Yeah. And this applies to us too, even without private jets. It's about finding those areas where we can be more efficient.
So things like automating tasks, delegating, saying no to things that don't align with our goals.
Exactly. Taking control instead of letting time control us.
And that leads us to another lesson from Cuban. Don't be afraid to be wrong.
Ooh, that's an interesting one.
Right. Because we're always told to strive for perfection, to get things right the first time.
But Cuban sees being wrong as a sign that you're pushing boundaries, exploring new territory.
So it's good to be wrong sometimes?
Well, he believes if everyone agrees with you, you're probably not doing anything truly innovative.
I see. It's about taking risks, not letting the fear of failure hold you back.
Exactly. Because failure is just part of the learning process.
It's like that Edison quote, right? I haven't failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work.
Perfect example. Reframing failure as a step towards success.
And that ties into another lesson. Take action. Don't just dream about your goals.
Turn those ideas into reality. No more procrastination.
Cuban's all about taking that first step, no matter how small.
Because ideas are worthless without execution, right?
And he's definitely a man of action, always pushing boundaries, challenging the status quo.
Which is probably why he's been so successful. Not afraid to take risks, to fail fast, learn from it.
It's inspiring, but kind of intimidating too. A lot of us struggle with that fear of taking the leap.
Oh, absolutely. But that's where being comfortable with being wrong comes in, taking the pressure off perfection.
So giving yourself permission to experiment, to try new things, even if you might fail.
Exactly. Because you never know what you might discover. That failure could lead to your next big win.
Okay, that's a great mindset shift. Now, Herjavec also highlighted something else he learned from Cuban. Welcome back to our deep dive.
Back into the mind of Mark Cuban.
With Robert Herjavec as our guide.
Sharing those valuable lessons he's learned.
We've covered so much already.
From power dressing to time as the ultimate asset.
And not being afraid to be wrong, of course.
So now what are the final pieces of the puzzle?
Yeah, what else did Herjavec pick up from Cuban?
One big thing was the emphasis on teamwork.
Makes sense. You can't build an empire alone, right?
Exactly. Cuban knows success is a team sport. He said, it's amazing what you can accomplish if you don't care who gets the credit.
So no ego involved.
Nope. It's about a strong team where everyone feels valued.
Where everyone can contribute.
Exactly. Open communication, mutual respect, a shared purpose.
Everyone rowing in the same direction.
Like a well-oiled machine.
I've seen how much a good team dynamic can achieve.
It makes all the difference. And speaking of, this ties into another lesson, innovation.
Crucial in today's world, right? Gotta keep adapting.
Absolutely. Cuban's all about challenging the status quo, finding new and better ways to do things.
Like how we got into tech, right? Didn't come from that background, but saw an opportunity.
That willingness to embrace new ideas, that's key to his success.
Always looking for that next big thing.
Never gets complacent.
Makes you realize we can't either. Gotta step outside our comfort zones.
And be okay with being wrong, remember?
Right, back to that. Innovation means you're gonna make mistakes along the way.
Mm-hmm. But those are just learning experiences.
Feedback, right. A chance to iterate and get better.
Exactly. Cuban sees failure as a stepping stone, not something to fear.
It's a totally different perspective. It becomes part of the journey.
That growth mindset is what's helped him achieve so much.
Always learning, always evolving. But it's not all about personal gain, right?
Right. Herjavec also talked about Cuban's philanthropy, giving back to the world.
Makes sense. He's got the means to make a real difference.
He believes in using his success for good, supporting causes he cares about.
Inspiring to see, honestly. It's not just about the money, it's about impact.
Exactly. So there you have it, 10 powerful lessons from Mark Cuban.
From power suits to philanthropy, quite a range.
And insights we can all apply no matter what our goals are.
Makes you think, which one resonates with you most?
Which one would you try out in your own life?
Something to ponder, isn't it? Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Always a pleasure exploring these big ideas with you.
And until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and who knows, maybe you'll be the next Mark Cuban.